Welcome to another edition of Bet with Bobano. It is Wednesday, April the 10th. Ian Cameron with you. Connor Mack will be along momentarily, and we're here to break down the Wednesday slate in MLB, NBA, and we'll also get to some Masters golf. Yes, that's right. First major of the golf season is coming up starting tomorrow, the Masters, Augusta National, and we'll get Connor Mack's thoughts on this because I'm a casual golf bettor. I watch a lot of golf. I follow it, especially in the majors, but I'm not into the blood and guts of handicapping golf week in and week out. So I rely a lot more on other golf bettors that I respect, other sources to help me out making picks as far as Masters and any golf tournament is concerned. And I know Connor Mack handicaps golf year round and most tournaments. So definitely looking forward to his thoughts on the Masters. But we will begin with Major League Baseball. We already have a bunch of games that have already started here on this Wednesday slate. A lot of day games, usually the case on Wednesdays. But we will begin with the night slate, and we will start with the Chicago White Sox taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Tanner Bybee for Cleveland, Eric Fedde for the White Sox. We've got Cleveland minus 250, home favorites, 7.5 the total in this game. Obviously, Bybee is the better of these two pitchers. There's no question, although credit to the White Sox who actually got a victory yesterday over the Cleveland Guardians, but victories have been few and far between, obviously, to start the season for the White Sox. We'll see if they Guardians can bounce back. I think they should be able to with the better pitcher on the mound. I would probably look at Cleveland maybe on the run line here. It is worth noting for Cleveland that every win they have had this season, they are 8-3 on the season to this point. I believe every win they've had has been by multiple runs. You look at the victories, 6-4 against Oakland, 12-3 against Oakland, 5-2 against Seattle, 8-0 against Seattle, 4-2 against Minnesota, 3-1 against Minnesota, 4-0 against the White Sox in the opener of this series. So I think the run line on the Guardians might be a good look here. I certainly trust Bybee a lot more than Fedde. You got the Guardians, the superior of these two teams off a loss, so the spot makes sense. So if I were to look at anything here, it'd probably be the Cleveland run line here, minus 1.5 in this game. Next up, we've got the Chicago Cubs taking on the San Diego Padres. This is a 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific start at Petco Park in San Diego. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres, the former White Sox pitcher, of course. We just talked about that team. Taking on Kyle Hendricks for the Cubs. We've got the Padres here, minus 150 to minus 155, home favorites, 8 the total across the board. Kyle Hendricks has not had a very good start to the season, and this is someone that's been for the most part, a pretty serviceable, decent, solid major league pitcher for this team, but it has been a rough opening to the season for him. 10 runs, 17 hits allowed in 7.2 innings. Now, he did face the Texas Rangers and the LA Dodgers, two absolutely brutally tough lineups to face. There's no doubt, but I think the fact remains, at least for me, Kyle Hendricks is not trustworthy right now for the Chicago Cubs. On the flip side, you've got Dylan Cease taking the mound for the Padres. Pretty solid in his first two starts. Actually, he did struggle a bit against the Giants his first outing. He was a lot better against the Giants the second time he faced them 5 days ago. 2 runs, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts in 6 innings. A bit of a tough luck loss for Cease because he only gave up 2 runs, but not enough run support from the Padres. They lost 3-2, but he pitched well enough to win. I'm going to go with the Padres team total here rather than, any sort of money line with them. Obviously, you're talking about a favorite here in the minus 140 to minus 150 range. You could lay it if you want, but I prefer the team total. You get over 4 minus 125 at Caesars with the Padres team total. I am going to trust their lineup to get going offensively here and do some damage against a struggling Kyle Hendricks here for the Cubs. Our guy C-Mac in the house here on this Wednesday edition of Bet with Bobano. C-Mac, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry, running around doing a bunch of stuff. What are we on? Cubs,
Padres? Yeah, I like Padres team total against Hendricks. What do you think there?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Hendricks at some point will kind of be what he is. I think around a 4+ ERA guy. He's gotten just shelled these first few starts. And on the other side, what do we get from Cease? The one problem with both these guys, with Hendricks at times, but even Cease, last year was the long ball, giving up homers. So, I don't trust a ton the Padres bats not to be laying this number. I think the Cubs, again, I'm leaning them here, first 5. But also, we're dealing with, there's a prop I'm on this game. I don't mind Bellinger. It's so weird to see Bobano, him kind of struggle a little bit against righties. It's just, that was all he hit in his career. It couldn't hit a lefty. In the last couple of years, it's just been wild. And he's been able to hit lefties. But I think he's a good look. But I went with Manny Machado. He hasn't had an RBI in like 7 games. He's dealing with the elbow problem, but really it's not affecting his swing, is all I've heard. He just can't play in the field. He's DHing. But 7 for 17 here off Hendricks. I think he's due here in the 4 hole. So I took his RBI plus 145 and put a little on his homer, I think.
All right, good stuff. Liking a prop there in that Padres and Cubs game. Did you have anything on the first game I talked about, White Sox Guardians?
No, we can pass that. Under.
No. I think Cleveland money line and under parlay, or Cleveland run line is the way to go. Like 4-1, 5-2, something like that for Cleveland.
I like that. Yeah.
I like Cleveland run line. That's what I'm on in that game, -1. I like Bybee a lot. I don't think the White Sox are getting. You could even do White Sox team total under, maybe if you like that. That might be a decent look as well in that one. All right, next up we've got Milwaukee and Cincinnati. Miley and Green, the pitching matchup here. Reds -140, home favorites, 8.5 the total in this game. I definitely like Hunter Green over strikeouts. I like the strikeout prop with Green. We know I think it's 7.5 in this game. I think he can go over that number. I lean Reds as well. Bounce back spot. They lost to the Brewers last night at home. Rubber match now with this 3-game series. I think they got a chance. I think I trust Green more than I trust Miley, although Green does have the odd issue with the long ball occasionally. He can't give up a home run every now and then, but I still think I trust him a little more than the lefty. Wade Miley here for Milwaukee. The Reds didn't have to expend any of their better bullpen arms because they were trailing in that game last night. So I lean Reds a little bit here, but I like the strikeout prop more than anything on Hunter Green. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, I do not. As much as, just on Monday, we liked the Reds. I did. I think you did too, Bobano. And they scored like 8 runs right away. Gave up a few. I got to be on the Brewers here. There's just no way. Hunter Green, I think he's due maybe to get cracked. His first couple starts were pretty good. And obviously we know he's got the stuff, and he's looked that well. You talked about the strikeout prop in that one. But I think we have value here. Wade Miley is a guy I like to back. At times he's been very good. As much as I've struggled betting the Brewers at times over the years, they're kind of like the Indiana Pacers. They can just drive me crazy. I love this price, plus 130. I got to be on it with the Brew Crew and Wade Miley. We mentioned we cashed on Steer, still red hot. Steer the Deer, Bobano. He's 0 for 5 off Wade Miley, but we talked about on Monday, rips lefties. So how do you stay off his? He already has 15 RBIs. Just stick with his prop. The RBI is still plus 165. The homer's around 5-1. Sprinkle a little bit on that. Until he starts maybe to slow down a little bit, I don't know why you want to, jump off.
Yeah, there's some truth to that, no doubt. We talked about Spencer Steer's been, absolutely one of the best hitters early in the season here for the Cincinnati Reds. Probably does have a good chance maybe to continue here.
How about De La Cruz?
Yes.
Plus 800 deep. They hit another inside the fart. That was crazy.
That's not. He's not gonna. That's not gonna be the first. That's not gonna. It isn't the first time he's done it. It's not gonna be the last time he's done it either. He's got the speed where as soon as there's a bobble in the outfield and the ball gets past all the outfielders, he's going to score. You're not going to stop him from getting home. No,
for
not
sure.
At all. Not with his speed. The speed's insane of Ellie De La Cruz rounding the bases. No doubt about that. All right, next up here as we continue along, Marlins and Yankees in the Bronx. Ryan Weathers for the Marlins, Marcus Stroman for the Yankees. We've got New York -225, home favorites, 8.5 the total. It's a bit of tricky because, the Yankees didn't win, obviously. They didn't score runs, and they only won by 1 run yesterday, 3-2. But I still think this could be a spot where that offense kind of breaks out here against Weathers. I don't think much of Weathers. He's only in this rotation because Marlins are dealing with some pitching injuries in their rotation right now. So the Yankees should do some damage here. I believe all but 2 Marlins games they've lost by more than 1 run. So, this does kind of feel like a Yankee run line spot. Miami is that bad right now, especially offensively. Stroman was very good in his first start against his former team, the Blue Jays. He pitched up pretty well. Actually, second start, he pitched against Houston before that. Kind of pitched pretty well in that game, too. So it's been a solid start for Stroman with his new team. I did sprinkle on the Yankee run line here a little bit, maybe split it up with team total. They should do damage against Weathers in that bullpen, though, in my opinion. What do you think here, Connor? Marlins and Yankees?
Yeah, I just can't back the Marlins. Hopefully soon, though, we'll be getting, good prices to look at them until the bats wake up. I mean, Chisholm, Arise, none of these guys are doing much of anything until they kind of wake up. De La Cruz, and I think they can. We'll see what Tim Anderson can do too.
Reclamation project, yep.
Yeah, I still think he could swing the stick a little bit, but yeah, all these guys are just struggling right now. Stroman, you talked about the first start was pretty good, and he was excellent in his first home start for the Yanks. It'd be the Yanks here, nothing. I don't mind the run line. And how do we not go to Juan Soto here, Bobano? RBI, I think he's got about 10. He's had an RBI in 4 or 5 straight. His RBI is plus 185. I know he's in the 2-hole, but it's just been working out. You could look to the total bases, but Juan Soto here, till he cools down, take his RBI here and look at the jack. 5-1. Good numbers, I think. 3 for 5 and a homer off Weathers.
Yeah, and a
short sample, but yeah.
Padres are thinking, where was this motherfucker last year for us?
Yeah,
right.
No shit.
I mean, if you're a Padre fan, you're not digging this hot start to the season right now for Juan Soto and what we're seeing from him with the San Diego Padres. All right, next up on the slate, we've got Baltimore-Boston, little AL East battle here. Irvin versus Cutter Crawford, pretty much minus 115 right now. Slight home favorites for the Red Sox at Fenway, 9 the total. And the reason they're slight favorites is because you have to give Crawford an advantage over Irvin. I'm not a big fan, obviously, of Irvin here for the Baltimore Orioles. We'll see how he fares here in this one, but he's been pretty predictable in his career where basically outside of his stint in Oakland when he pitched in the Coliseum, he hasn't been very good elsewhere. When he pitched in Oakland, when he pitched on the road, he struggled and basically struggled for the most part anywhere outside of Oakland. And so far this year, he had the opening start against Kansas City, roughed up, gave up 4 runs, 7 hits in just 5 innings against the Royals. So I don't really trust Cole Irvin here. Cutter Crawford's probably the better arm to trust. He had a good first couple of starts, actually were very good against the Mariners and the Angels. 1 earned run allowed in 10.2 innings over those first 2 starts for Cutter Crawford for Boston. So the Boston bullpen's a shambles, though. That's the problem. I do worry about that bullpen. I know our good friend on Pub Sports Radio, Red Sox fan Jose Bouquet, always bitches and moans about that bullpen for the Red Sox and how bad it can be. So I wouldn't want to trust them for the full game.
They've been pretty good so far, right?
Yeah,
but
so
they have
early. That game against a couple games in that Seattle series early that they kind of struggled. They didn't do well yesterday, but they were down. They didn't have their premium relievers in there. But I'd still probably, I lean Boston here, but I'd probably lean more to first 5. But nothing overly strong for me with this game in this one. What do you think, Connor? O's Red Sox.
Yeah, it's tough because I don't love to go against. I like Cutter Crawford, and I was on him the first couple starts, and he was very good at times. At home at Fenway, the numbers aren't that great. There's a few, Pavetta. Some of these pitchers have struggled a little bit more at home and been better on the road. Yeah, so it's pays to say this, but I got to be on the Orioles. I know Cole Irvin's on the mound, but this lineup, I think, is pretty stacked. They have good numbers off Crawford. I think get to him. I like him first 5 here. It's right around even money. I don't love a ton of juice, but you could even take the half here. It's right around minus 140 or 145 for the Orioles, just in case, we have a tie game after 5 innings. But I think they could jump on them here. A lot of good. I love Rutschman, Santana. They got decent numbers, short sample size, 2 for 5, both a couple of homers. But how about my guy? Jackson Holiday, first major league start in the 9-hole.
Yep.
I took his over. Total bases 1.5 here. It's plus 125. I think he can get something done here. A couple knocks or a big hit, a double. in this game.
Yeah, maybe. It's just, I often fall into that, where I want to bet the player on his debut. I do it
Yeah.
in hockey a lot, other sports as well. It doesn't always work out because sometimes, it takes a game or two to get warmed up and get comfortable. But he's like the number one prospect, not only in the Orioles organization. Some websites have him as the number one prospect in all of
Oh yeah.
baseball right now.
Yeah, he's that good, I think.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm not crazy about the start. I just think this kid's really good, and
yeah.
take a piece here on the total bases
His
at
old
this,
man was a good
plus
football
125.
player, Matt
Oh yeah,
Holliday, all those years.
very
Yep,
good.
yep.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
comes from a good family, good pedigree, no doubt. So yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind taking the shot at all. Over 1.5 total bases for Jackson Holiday for the Baltimore Orioles here in his Orioles big league debut here tonight. Should be exciting. Looking forward to seeing it. All right, next up we've got Mets and Braves. Jose Quintana, the former Atlanta Brave, on the mound here for the Mets, and Winans here for Atlanta. Minus 165 home favorites, 9.5 the total. Just give me another Atlanta over. I don't think I need to overthink it or overcomplicate it. I mean, these Atlanta games keep going over the total. What have we seen? 2 games in this Mets Braves series. And as Connor Mack would say, it's been over, over, over. Both of the games in the series so far. I don't see anything to trust for Quintana. I think Atlanta should be able to do some significant damage. I have not been impressed early on from him. I think when you look at the for Winans here, Alan Winans for Atlanta, he might be on a little bit of a pitch count, but you look at his numbers last year, they weren't significantly great by any stretch of the imagination. Like I said, for Quintana, the first start against Cincinnati, remember the weather that day was pretty brutal. So this is going to be a huge challenge for him against a team that should know him pretty well. And then when you look at the stuff that Alan Winans had last year as far as his numbers, last season with the Braves, nothing spectacular at all for him. 5.29 ERA last season for the Atlanta Braves. In 6 games he started. He was recalled from AAA Gwinnett. Again, his major league numbers, when you got an ERA above 5, that's not something you really want to trust. I know the Mets offense has been hit or miss, but, they've been hitting a little bit in this series, the New York Mets so far. So that lineup is starting to wake up a little bit. They have scored 5 and 8 runs in the first 2 games of this series, 13 runs combined. So I like over 9.5 here with this matchup. What do you think here, Connor?
Over here for me too. Even Braves, it seems like it's just wild, but you know how it is, Bobano, even too. 5.5 team totals. It's just I can struggle with them at times when I've bet them over the years. But at 5.5, and I saw plus 115. I see a 110 even right now. DraftKings. Like, I think you got to take it. I think this Braves lineup against the lefty and Quintana can get to him. It's just that elusive 6th run sometimes, but they've been able to do it so far this year. Winans, I don't know. This guy originally was a relief pitcher,
yeah,
and for years, and they moved him, and then he was pretty good in AAA. I just don't know if he has the stamina like you were talking about, because I don't think he can go more than 4 or 5 innings, and he looked good in AAA. But as soon as you get to big league level, a lot different. He kind of got hit around last year. I think he gives up some too. Maybe at some point. I mean, he's going to have to start right now in this Braves rotation, at least for the time being. So yeah, I think he gives up some as well. But over in this one, and I might move on that Braves team total, the 5.5. I could regret it, but that plus money, it's sticking out here.
I would consider it too. I just decided, we'll do full game over because I think the Mets can contribute here against Winans, and I definitely think Atlanta is going to do damage against that Met bullpen and Quintana. So over 9.5, I would lean to that Braves team total though as well. All right, we got how many games left? 2 games left again on this abbreviated Wednesday night slate because there's so many day games. Houston and Kansas City. Houston and Kansas City next up. Astros and Royals. We got a pitching change here for Houston. I think it was supposed to be Hunter Brown initially for the Astros, but he's been scratched. It's Spencer Arrighetti getting the start here. Spaghetti Rigetti. It reminds me of fucking grumpy old men from back in the day. Jack Lemmon and what? Spaghetti Rigetti. Spencer Arrighetti here with Houston. Seth Lugo here for Kansas City. We've got the the Astros minus 120 road favorites at Kauffman. The total 9.5 in this game. What are we going to get out of Arrighetti is the question here for the Houston Astros. We'll see how he fares in this matchup, but certainly Arrighetti was the Astros minor league pitcher of the year last season. 6th round pick, though, for him in 2021. So, we'll see how he goes, but he was down in the Sugar Land, 2 starts down there, 2.16 ERA in 8 innings. But in 2 games in spring training, this guy had a 7.2 ERA in 5 innings. So, yeah, he's been okay in the minors, but in spring training for the Astros, he got lit up, Arrighetti. So, don't know if I really want to back him or trust him here necessarily. Meanwhile, we've got Seth Lugo, who comes into this game. We'll see how he fares. He pitched well against the White Sox, but the White Sox lineup's not exactly a good barometer for a pitcher. 1 run in 6.2 innings of work. We'll see how he fares here. I know against the Astros last season, he faced them twice. Lugo gave up 10 runs in 9.1 innings against the Astros last year. So Seth Lugo got pounded by Houston in 2 starts against them last year. So it kind of has me leaning over. I don't love the game, but if I were to throw at anything here, maybe over 9.5 can lean that way. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, Seth Lugo. I mean, I talked about it. The pitch count's probably 80. He's looked good these first couple starts. In the past, he's had kind of these decent starts, but the guy kind of crumbles as the year goes on. Royals, I thought yesterday this was the best chance for the Astros in that game. And they put up 2 quick and just kind of nothing else. And they had 10 hits on those 2 runs. They should have had 5 runs in that game.
Definitely.
It was head scratching. You got to get the hits. The runners in scoring position. It is
RISP. It matters. Yeah.
It is key, and they couldn't. Yeah. And on the other side, Arrighetti, I don't know what we get. One thing, a problem in the big leagues he can't do is his control. He can walk a ton of people in the big leagues. That won't work. I think the Royals could score. I just don't trust both these teams' lineups right now. So this game I'm off. Until I start really wanting to see the Astros do some stuff, I'm not going to back them. Royals playing decent baseball, too. I think they might slide, but good start.
They are, no doubt. I don't want to lay a price with Houston on the road with this unknown pitcher. That's for damn sure. I only lean over, and I'm not bullish on it more because you're right. I don't trust the pitchers, but these lineups are not in form right now either. I mean, the lineups have not been firing on all cylinders here early in the season, especially Houston. So that's why it's a mild, tempered opinion here on the over for me in this game. All right, the final game for the Wednesday slate: Oakland and Texas. Oh, Ross Stripling still going. Dodgers, Blue Jays, Giants, and now here he is with the Oakland Athletics. Seems like he keeps going to a worse team with every stop. He went from the Dodgers to the Blue Jays to the Giants and now to the Oakland Athletics. So it keeps getting worse. He keeps going to a worse team with every move. Bradford on the mound, the lefty for Texas. The Rangers minus 185, home favorites, 9 the total. I think this is a spot for Texas to bounce back, quite honestly. I think when you look at Tech, that was, mildly surprising they lost to Oakland yesterday, but Oakland's going to win some ball games. They're not going to go 0-162, and Texas, unfortunately for them, they got shut down in that game. They only scored 3 runs. They lose 4-3 to the A's. Bounce back spot for the Rangers. Rangers have suddenly lost 3 in a row. Started the season 6-2. They're now 6-5. So they need to stop the bleeding here. This might be the right team and right pitcher maybe to stop the bleeding against. Although Stripling was really good against Boston last time, 1 run in 7 innings. He did get lit up before that. His first start against Cleveland, 5 runs, 7 hits, 5 innings. And this is a pretty scary Texas lineup still. So I would think the Rangers still can bounce back. And I like what I've seen out of Cody Bradford, the lefty for Texas. They think highly of him. I think he was a Big 12 pitcher of the year in college, one season that he pitched there. And Bradford in his first 2 starts for Texas this year, giving up just 3 runs and 5 hits with 10 strikeouts in his first 12.2 innings of work. So I think they've got the right guy on the mound in good form right now to bounce back from that loss to Oakland yesterday. So this is probably a first 5 full game split is probably the way I would approach it here on the Texas Rangers. Or you could go with Oakland team total under. You could definitely go in that direction as well. I don't mind that. But you can get Texas minus a half. minus 122, first 5 innings. Split it with the full game run line, possibly minus 1.5, plus 110. I think a run line split is something that I've got my eye on here in this game. C-Mac, what do you think? Oakland, Texas.
Yeah, I think this is a good spot for the Rangers. I try to make a stand here to look for Oakland, but they've won 3 straight. And one thing, Bradford's looked good these first starts, but I know what he is. And some of these Ace guys, Geloff, they can hit. They can hit lefties. So maybe they could get to him today. But yeah, I think the Rangers bounce back here. Stripling, he's an innings eating guy. You know what I mean? Especially after the horrible stint kind of he had with the Giants last year. It was just awful. And everything goes. I was talking about with that curveball. Yes, if that's off, he's just gonna get lit.
Yep.
So if that's working, he can pitch well. But if that is off, he can get tattooed. So yeah, Rangers here, nothing.
All right, there we go. That is the MLB slate. We're going to breeze through the NBA because this is a dicey time of year for the NBA. There's only
tough,
5
man.
days left in the regular season. Regular season ends on Sunday. And you got teams with nothing to play for, teams resting players. So this is just a dicey card this time of year. We'll start with Memphis, Cleveland. I agree with the total there. I think that can go over the total. The total's gone up to 213, 18.5 being the total in that game. Or 13.5 with Cleveland, or 18.5, I should say, with Cleveland as home favorites, 213 the total. The only thing I'm interested in there, maybe a small look to the over. Did you look at that? Memphis, Cleveland, C-Mac?
Oh man, this is you mentioned the NBA card. It's just gotten these last few days really for me ugly.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people. Of course, the NBA, you have to always look at the injury report, but it just seems like it's nuts. I mean, look at Memphis. It's what they do. It's just insane. I don't know if they're going to suit up 6, 7 guys here, because now even Jackson Jr.'s out, Kennard, all these guys. So yeah, I had nothing in this one at all. I would take the points. It's just crazy, 18 points NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I can't lay 18.5. I know Memphis is just absolutely shorthanded and gutted tonight. But yeah, I can't lay 18.5 in an NBA game. Yeah, there's no way.
Shit.
Yeah, there's definitely no way I'm doing that. But you look at this Memphis team, my goodness, Scottie Pippen, Jordan Goodwin, G.G. Jackson, Jack White, and Trey Jemison is your starting 5. That's why I think there could be points, though. Cleveland's not going to play, consistent defense against a lesser team. And the one thing Memphis will do is they'll try to score, push the ball, have some fun. I think that's why the total's gone up. I agree with it. Charlotte, Atlanta. Atlanta, 10-point home favorites, 222. There's a pass for me. I'm not laying 10 with Atlanta, and I don't want Charlotte. Did you see what happened to Charlotte last night against Dallas? I mean, they got absolutely wrecked in that game. For Atlanta, again, we're talking about Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, game-time decision, DeAndre Hunter, questionable game-time decision, and they're already a team that, so I can understand from a personnel standpoint why people are looking to take points against Atlanta, who could be very shorthanded tonight. But I don't know if I trust Charlotte enough, man. What do you think here?
Yeah, I think Charlotte could maybe hang around. I just don't really want my money here these last week on some of these games, man. I'm like, holy, especially on these bad teams. I really gotta like something because some of the year in spots I'd like to take the points. I'm sure you would too in some of these matchups like this, but it is tough. You know what? One thing I looked at who's going to be in for the Hawks, but at home, and Charlotte's really kind of here lately. And even their last 10 games, it's shown like the pace has picked up, more scoring. I lean over. I'd probably bet one, maybe Charlotte over all year, but they're 8-2 to the over the last 10. Hawks kind of played to some under when they went on that decent stretch where they were, I don't know, 7 or 7 out of 8. They went on the road, but I think there could be some points. Not a ton to play for, just getting up and down. So I was looking at the over here.
I want to point out, too, last night in the NBA, I think it was something like 10-5, 10-6 to the over. There were way more overs in the NBA last night than unders. And with these makeshift lineups and questionable motivation, I think you're seeing defense is optional here, some of these teams and some of these games down the stretch. I'm not saying every game is going to go over, but be careful with unders. Be careful. I don't know if you're going to see a lot of defense consistently these last few days of the regular season. I know you may not see defense in this next game. Toronto and Brooklyn. Toronto defensively, oh my gosh. You talk about a team that can't defend. They couldn't defend me or Connor Mack right now. The Toronto Raptors. Brooklyn, 11.5-point home favorites, 221.5 the total in this game. I mean, this is one I already did bet over. I mean, the Toronto Raptors, I mean, they've been pretty much during this brutal 2 months, they've been one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. What did they give up? 140 last night to Indiana. They're 6-1 to the over in their last 7 games coming into this one. Brooklyn, on the other side, Brooklyn didn't score against Sacramento, 77, but that's going to change tonight at home against this Raptors team. So the total's been bet up. I agree. What do you think, C-Mac?
Yeah, the problem is both these teams can't score at times. But lately the defense has been awful, and they've kind of gotten to some shootouts, like you mentioned. Yeah, that was awful.
Well, Olenek being out means a small ball lineup for Toronto, and that means quicker pace. So I like that for the over.
They don't have anyone in. I mean, hopefully even Grady Dick, he's questionable. Same with Olenek. And on the other side, looks like Claxton's a go.
Yeah.
Smith Jr.'s out. Finney Smith, he's out. Nothing in this one. Maybe there is points. I know in this one it gets over.
Yeah, so, Schroeder, Thomas, and Bridges, 3 important catalysts for Brooklyn at the offense.
They got to play.
They're all playing. Yeah, so that's good that's why I think, and there's some key defenders out for Brooklyn. So
I thought that though against the Kings. Yeah. Those guys were in and they scored 77.
Yep. But I think they should be able to do better damage here, in my opinion, here against this Toronto team, which hasn't been stopping anybody. We'll see. Dallas and Miami. Next up, we've got Dallas 2-point road favorites, 216 being the total in this game. Questionable now with Dallas after their win against Charlotte last night. That's put them in a position where this game's not as meaningful for them. You do have both of these teams on a back-to-back, so there's really no advantage either way. But I think you have to factor in this. The win is more important to Miami out of this game than Dallas. And if you look at Dallas coming into this game tonight, we're seeing that, actually it looks like they're going to have Luka and Kyrie out there. So this isn't more of an injury situation. This is more of I think Miami might need the game more a little bit than Dallas right now. So that's why the money's come in on the Heat. I would probably agree with that. For me, it would be Miami here as a home underdog if I bet it. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, it looks like there we go. And I'm still waiting. Hero looks like he's good. And Terry's questionable. I don't know if anyone in the chat, I haven't looked it up in the last hour, if they're going this one. The Heat have not been great kind of as a dog here at home. But I get what they saw early on. This is down to 2 now. When I see these 2 teams, the Mavs all of a sudden, 2 playing better defense, I want the under. I haven't got there yet. And all of a sudden, though, in the last few games, they've kind of got back. Hornets didn't do anything kind of Olay defense we were talking about. They gave up 130. But when I see these 2, I want the under. So I was looking at that here.
That might be a good look, too, because Luka and Kyrie are both bitching about how much they've had to play and the schedule. And Kyrie said, I'm depleted. We need a break. We need some rest, Doncic says. Right now, we sure need some rest. That's not exactly bet on quotes for laying points on the road tonight with Dallas when you're hearing them say that. And it also makes me wonder, we could see one of these late, right before the game, fucking switcheroo type deals, and one of them sits out at last second. And if
for sure. Yeah. You got to watch all this. It's just like right into the end. So be on alert.
That's why I think Miami, I don't mind locking them in now. I could see one of, if not both, Kyrie and Luka sitting. They're both complaining they're exhausted right now. So we'll see if Jason Kidd decides to pull them and sit them tonight. San Antonio, Oklahoma City. The Thunder, 17-point home favorites, 227 this total. Oklahoma City's on a back-to-back here tonight. Same with San Antonio, both teams. Oklahoma City had to battle back from a deficit against Sacramento last night to cover. I mean, I had -5 on Oklahoma City, and I'm like, oh, my goodness, most of the game they were trailing. I'm like, uh-oh, that's in trouble. But what a second half, what a fourth quarter to power their way past Sacramento. San Antonio is coming off a win last night against a depleted Memphis team, 102-87. I'm telling you what, I know Oklahoma City is the better of these teams, and from what I see here for Oklahoma City, they're still battling for seeding, top 1, 2, 3 seeds in the West. So I don't know if they have any run resting. SGA looks like he's going to play, although it is looking like both Jalen Williams and Gordon Hayward are game time decisions. Lou Dort is out for Oklahoma City. There's definitely something to play for, no question, for Oklahoma City. But 17 is a big number. San Antonio's covering point spreads lately, especially as bigger underdogs. They're on a nice little under the radar 7-1 ATS run in their last 6 games. They covered as dogs at Denver. They covered as dogs and won outright as dogs at New Orleans as well. So I don't know. This is a lot of nut points. I love me some SGA. He's from right here in Hamilton, Ontario, my hometown. I've got futures on him to win the MVP. Futures on Oklahoma City to win the West and the championship, kind of with betting with my heart a little bit there because Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's from Hamilton, but it doesn't mean I like Oklahoma City laying 17 tonight. I'd actually lean to the Spurs a little bit. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, big number, Thunder on the back-to-back, and that was a good win they needed yesterday, especially the second half there, and to cover if you had them with the Thunder. It's tough. No Wemby, because I thought they've been playing pretty good with some of the injuries that they had, the Spurs, as long as Wemby was in. But some of their guards have been out. And with him out, I can't take it. I think if you like the Thunder, maybe go with him early. You mentioned the seeding. They're still right there. They need some stuff to work out for them, but they're right there with the T-Wolves and the Nuggets. So Thunder early. I'd look at them first quarter, first half. I don't do many first quarters, but that's what I'd be on here.
Yeah, this might be the spot to do it for sure. Orlando, Milwaukee. Orlando, 2-point road favorites, 214 being the total in this game. Of course, you look for Milwaukee right now where they are as far as the standings are concerned in the Eastern Conference. We've got them in second, 1 ahead of the Knicks for third, 2 ahead of Orlando for but by the way, Orlando is 2 games behind Milwaukee, which means if Orlando is going to catch the Knicks or Milwaukee, huge game for them. I kind of like Orlando here on the road. I don't trust Milwaukee. I know Milwaukee bounced back. It was kind of a revenge spot against Boston. I don't know how excited Boston was. You could kind of see that Boston's home and cool. Yeah. They just want the playoffs to start. The Celtics at this point, Milwaukee took advantage of that last night. It was a good spot for Milwaukee last night. I don't know if I trust them, though. They haven't been that model of consistency one game to the next. And Orlando is still only 2 games behind them for second. I think the Magic are favored here for a reason, more than just obviously the personnel situation, which has Giannis out and obviously Chris Middleton out as well for this game. But Giannis sitting, remember one of the games Giannis sat, the Raptors of all teams, the Raptors as huge road dogs at Milwaukee went in there without Giannis and beat them. So I think I like Orlando here, and I think I understand completely why they're favorites here on the road. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I think you take Orlando or pass. That was the big game yesterday. Everybody played. Lillard, Middleton, and Giannis. Now he sits. Middleton out. Orlando's dealing with a few injuries. We'll see if they go. I just know Fultz. A few of those guys are questionable. But I think you take them in this one. It seems classic Bucks. It was just kind of a morale when they wanted that. They all played, like you mentioned, the Celtics kind of let that game go, just wanted to get healthy. Yep. So, yeah, Magic here. Get them, maybe just go money line if you don't want to, take the 2.
No doubt. I hope the San Francisco Giants can push another couple runs across for me. We're on their team total over 4.5 against.
What's the score?
3-1, bottom of the 5th.
Oh, right yeah. I had it yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I thought they would get, 5 yesterday, and they couldn't.
No.
Bad. That drives me nuts to that team, that offense.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Let's go. We're in business. Double into the gap. Second and third, I think now. Nobody out. Up 3-1 for the Giants. So there we go. Get both runners home. We cash the team total in that. Yeah, Patrick Corbin, still one of my favorite fades. Now, I know he hasn't been as brutally bad as he was beginning of last year, 2 years ago, but he's still someone I look at as fade material whenever I see Patrick Corbin's name show up for the Washington Nationals. All right, Minnesota and Denver. We've got the Nuggets 6.5 point home favorites, 211.5 the total here in this game. Yeah, thank you very much, Juan. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're here Mondays and Wednesdays with Bet with Bobano, and we'll probably expand the show Once we get past the NBA and the NHL, like I say, once I'm done with the NBA coverage with Ski and Wham and Dutch Tuesdays and Thursdays, we might expand the show. Bet with Bobano during the summer to 4 days a week. But for now, yeah, Mondays and Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Minnesota, Denver. Denver 6-point home favorites, 211.5 the total in this game. What a huge game this is, obviously, in terms of the seeding implications. These are two teams to deadlock, dead heat for first in the Western Conference and the division, the Northwest Division. Not to mention OKC still very much alive, just one game behind both of them. So this three-horse race here, Thunder, Timberwolves, and Nuggets coming right down to the wire. The thing is, though, Minnesota's pretty healthy outside of Karl Anthony Towns. And when you start to look over at the prospects and injury stuff for Denver tonight, you're seeing Jamal Murray questionable with the knee injury. Caldwell Pope looks like he's upgraded to probable. Michael Porter is going to play. Jokic is going to play, but Murray is the key. Murray's a little bit more questionable here for this massive game against the Timberwolves.
Yeah,
we'll see if
Gordon
he plays.
It's questionable too.
Gordon as well. So keep an eye on this. I don't want to go against Denver in a big game at home like this, but I also am a little leery because we don't know if Murray's going to suit up just yet. So I'm waiting on that news. I still think it's Denver or pass for me. Now, look, I cashed a ticket with Minnesota against the Lakers over the weekend. I thought it was a great spot for them. Bounce back for them after the previous game that they lost. A Lakers team that was depleted that night. No LeBron, no Anthony Davis, and the Timberwolves took advantage. But that was then. This is now. Denver with the number 1 seed on the line, the division on the line at home. If Murray plays, this number can only go up. So I lean Denver. I'm not involved yet until I know the status of Jamal and to a lesser extent, Aaron Gordon. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, it's just a wait and see with them. Man, I wish, the Nuggets kind of had beat them. What was it? Just about 2 weeks ago, they lost at home to the T-Wolves. And one thing, though, why I like the points with the T-Wolves, especially who's in, is these games have just been tight. Yep. They've just been good. Top 2 teams in the West, both play good defense, efficient offensively. So I think you grab the points here. Denver at home is really great. But yeah, I'm just waiting on those last few, who's in, who's out. But I already like the 6 here.
All right, there we go. Liking the 6 points here with Minnesota. All right, next up, we've got final game of this Wednesday NBA slate. Phoenix Suns, LA Clippers. This opened Phoenix 3-point road favorites, 9.5 now. Phoenix road favorites against the Clippers, 219 the total. And this is one of those deals where for the Clippers, I mean, Leonard's ruled out, Harden's ruled out, Paul George is ruled out, the big three. I wouldn't be surprised if Russell Westbrook and Zubats don't play. You could be talking about a very short-handed Clippers team, so that's why all the money's come in here on Phoenix. I hope you had the I couldn't believe that last night. I hope you had the Clippers last night in that game in the first quarter. Minus 27.5 because you would have cashed there in that game. That first quarter was something to be, or 26.5. Actually, Phoenix got it down to 27 in the 37-10 in the first quarter for the Clippers last night against the Phoenix Suns. So if you laid 26.5 first quarter at a plus, 10,000 with the Clippers, you cashed in that game. And then they cruised to victory from there. Yeah, it got a little interesting in the third quarter, but Clippers had a huge lead. They won by 13. Kind of feels like if you bet Phoenix early, or you got a good number, it's a good bet. 9.5 now. I don't know if I jump in now, but there's nothing that could get me to the Clippers with everybody that's out. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, it's just now double digits. That's the only problem. No one's playing here for the Clippers. Everyone's out. Yeah, this is a game that I don't think they give a shit about. Suns win. Just, if you got in early, you got to feel good. They probably still win by more than 10. Maybe look Phoenix first half.
Yeah.
Now that, they can jump on them early, especially when there's 5.5. There's already some 6s. But, yeah, I think anything there first half, 5.5 Suns.
That could be the best approach for sure. It's the first half, get in, get out type of deal in this game. Bet the Suns early to have that comfortable lead. And definitely now after the line move, I think first half is probably a more prudent approach in this game as opposed to the full game when it comes to the Clippers and the Suns. because as we mentioned, we've seen this number move quite a bit as far as without the that's the
Oh
entire
yeah,
big three. I mean, that is just so much of the team right there. As far as George, Leonard, and Harden all being out tonight for the um, LA Clippers in that game. Not to mention the beatdown that was inflicted last night by the Phoenix, by the LA Clippers on the Phoenix Suns. So, all things considered, definitely makes sense to take the Suns. And now, if you're going to take them, though, I would say look toward that first half, as Connor Mack said. That's probably the best approach right now. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Connor, tomorrow, of course, is a big day. And why is that? It's because it's the first day of the Masters. And we are looking up. Connor's going to join us again in just a moment. But yes, the Masters tomorrow. It gets underway, the first major of the golf year. And Connor will be back in a moment. I'll throw out some of my picks. And we did talk a little golf earlier today on the Ice Guys show, actually, the Ice Guys NHL hockey betting show. We talked about the Masters a little bit with Brendan Perlini, former NHL player, current pro player with the Checkers and the AHL, Charlotte Checkers, big golf fan. We talked some Masters. I gave out some of my golf picks on that show. I'll throw out a couple. I have to bet Brooks Koepka just because of he takes the majors seriously. He's done well here in the past. I like Joaquin Niemann and his form. I think he is very live in the 30-1 range here at Augusta in this tournament. Um, you know, I ended up betting Cam Smith, hello, mate, early in the week, but then he started complaining and talking about how he's struggling with his driver lately, and that's not what you want to hear at Augusta National going into the Masters. But we do know Cameron Smith has been a pretty solid player here at Augusta National in the past. So, still think it's a decent look. Now, he's not in great form right now, but I bet him in the fall. I don't know if I'd bet him now based on his form, but maybe he's just playing possum, waiting for the majors to get here, because we know he showed that killer instinct, that ability to close on a Sunday down the stretch of last year into the fucking FedEx Cup playoffs, and that's Victor Hovland. I get it. He's not been in great form to start 2024. But again, this is something I bet way back in the fall at a better price than what's out there right now on Victor Hovland, thinking he could finally win that first major at some point this year. A lot of people like Xander Schauffele. My only concern is because he's got the right type of uh, setup as a golfer to have success here. But from everything I've heard from my golf sources, who I really rely on for secondhand, third-hand opinions, Schauffele's not been closing well lately. That's a concern going into this tournament. I kind of like the Swede Ludvig Aberg a little bit as well. Cameron Young, Will Zalatoris, Sahith Theegala, I think are all worth a look. If you're looking for some longer shots here, Harris English, Cameron Davis potential here as well. Maybe a little Russell Henley. And I'll throw a couple out there. Two former Masters champions that I think might be a little underpriced. Adam Scott and especially Sergio Garcia, who I mentioned specifically earlier on the Ice Guys. Sergio's in good form. I know he's a little older player now, but he's former Masters champ in 2017. His live golf form is very good right now. He almost won the event in Miami last week before this tournament. Sergio in that 100-1, 125-1 price range. I think you could make a case for him in that kind of a price range. Gold Jew in the chat likes Matsuyama. Matsuyama is, another former Masters champion. Can't quibble with that. His form, actually, the last couple of tournaments, I've seen an uptick. So I think there is reason to believe that Hideki here at Augusta can be right in the mix, right in the hunt on Sunday in the final round. And again, we're talking about someone that has won this tournament in the past. So, like I said, and his form's gotten just a little bit better. Yeah, Russell Henley, I appreciate that. I think that's a longer shot that's worth a couple of bucks. Here's what I'll throw out there because I've seen his name, and this is a player that I like in the first round only because I don't trust, a player like this, pretty young still, to hang in there for 4 rounds. But could he suddenly be one of those players that, goes low on Thursday in the first round? And I'm talking about, if you think back to Happy Gilmore, nap time, says Ben Stiller, his character. It's nap time. It's nap time for me with this first round leader bet, Jake Knapp. Jake Knapp, first round leader. Um, he's had his name appear on the leaderboard here the last month in some of these Texas tournaments. Obviously, still very young when you look at it, but Jake Knapp is someone that a lot of people think highly of this kid long term moving forward. Obviously, I don't think he's winning, or he may not even get right in there as far as getting close to winning. But I could see him having a good start on Thursday, be one of those Thursday warriors where he has a good first round and then he kind of peters out after. So Jake Knapp, you could get him around plus 9,000, 90 to 1 first round leader. He feels like one of those Thursday warriors that he has a good start and then kind of falters after that. Maybe we could see something like that for him going into this tournament. But definitely don't mind the form we're seeing. Nick Taylor, actually, the Canadian, I could see having maybe a strong start. 8,000, he is 80 to 1 for the first round leader. So those are that's a betting marketplace that I like to look at too sometimes for these golf tournaments. These players that are just habitually not able to finish strong on the weekend, but they get out to fast starts. You'd be amazed how many golfers that are on this tour, and also, of course, the live golfers are playing in this tournament as well. Just golfers overall, how many of them just struggle to put 4 rounds together, but come out storming in the first round, and then they fade after that. So there's definitely some candidates for that to happen on here at the Masters. But Jake Knapp, is definitely the one that kind of stuck out to me as far as a player that might be able to contend to win, to be leading after the first 18 holes of this tournament in the after the first round on Thursday. So definitely good to keep that in mind with that. All right, we'll wait for CMAC to come back, but I'm just going to take a look at the matchups for this tournament before we continue. I'm just going to actually take a look at some of the category bets here that we've got as far as top Canadian, top. I like to look at some of those category bets, prop bets, if you will, and we'll see if we can find where those are. Yeah, top golfer by category. Here we go. Yeah, there's the amateur. Yeah, Christo Lomprecht, to be honest with you, he should be low amateur. He's the rightful favorite. Not that Stuart Hagestad and Santiago de la Fuente and Neil Shipley and some of these other players can't win that, but he's the clear rightful favorite, and I think he's had experience on this course before already, Christo Lomprecht. So he is, I think he's worth a look. A lot of my golf sources like him to be top amateur as well, plus 150 here at this event. Top Canadian, like I said, I think I'm going to roll with Nick Taylor. Corey Connors is the favorite, plus 110. But I like Taylor's form has been pretty solid here in 2024. Adam Hadwin is in the mix too, plus 250. But I think if I were to take top Canuck here, top Canadian in this tournament, I think Nick Taylor would be my choice at plus 240 in that particular category. Like I said, with the debutante bet, obviously Aberg, Wyndham Clark, Akshay Bhatia, is not a bad option as well. But I definitely think there's value on Jaegerbaum. Stefan Jaeger, plus 1,400. 14 to 1 on Steph Jaeger to be the top debutante. That means the top first-time Masters player. First time playing in the tournament is what the top debutante category is. Stefan Jaeger at 14 to 1. Yeah, I could see there being some value with that for sure. With the way he's played. Of course, this is a guy that won 2 weeks ago at the Houston Open. So getting that kind of a price with Stefan Jaeger here is pretty solid in this one. A top Brit, McIlroy, Fitzpatrick. It probably comes down to those two guys, quite honestly. Fleetwood, I don't like his form enough. Hatton, there's a lot of people that don't think he's going to have a great time of it here at the Masters this week. There's multiple people that are lining up to fade Tyrell Hatton in matchup bets. Justin Rose and Danny Willett's a former Masters champion, so I guess never count him out, but you do also need the form, so we'll see if that's the case. Tiger, I don't want to do much with Tiger. I got to see Tiger bets, Robert, as far as I want to see how he starts. Like we talked about this earlier with Brendan Perlini on the hockey show. Tiger Woods could have the back seas up and withdraw. That could happen. He could miss the cut and just shoot terribly in the first 2 rounds and miss the cut. He actually be not that bad and still miss the cut. Or he could make the cut and it's not even totally impossible. I don't think it's happening, but it's still not totally impossible that he could be in contention on Sunday. Like there is huge variance involving Tiger Woods right now going into this tournament. So I think it's very difficult to pin down what the hell to do with him as far as from a betting standpoint here in this Masters is concerned. What else do we have? Oh, former winner. I mean, someone that's won the Masters before, won the green jacket. Um, Scheffler is on there. Rahm, Matsuyama, Spieth, Dustin Johnson, Patrick Reed. Again, I go back to probably Sergio or Adam Scott. I'm interested. If I'm going to bet on in that category, I want a little bang for my buck. I don't want to take Scheffler and Rahm at the top of the board, even though I get why they're on the top of the board for former winner category. But to be the top former winner, I think there's legit value here right now on Sergio Garcia 22-1 and Adam Scott 22-1 in that range for that category. So, yeah, definitely interested in that there. Asian golfer, we got Matsuyama is the favorite there. I'll throw one out there from this category. Byung-Hyun An, plus 550. There's a lot of people that I've talked to that like his chances this week to make a statement and kind of compete here in this event. So look out for maybe Benny on here, Byung-Hyun on for that category, top Asian. You can get him around plus 550, plus 600. Yeah, Rory, look, Rory, this is what Rory wants. Rory, the only thing he's missing is the Masters, is the green jacket. That's the one thing he's got left to accomplish. But it's just, as far as the price is concerned, you just don't love it. If you want to take Rory to win this tournament, it's 11-1. I don't love betting anybody, especially in a major, 11-1. Or Scheffler, for instance, plus 420. It's just not the kind of odds I'm looking for, but he's certainly got motivation on his side. There's no question about that. This is the only major he hasn't won. He's got a PGA. He's got a U.S. Open. He's got an Open Championship. Now, they were all a long time ago. It's hard to believe Rory McIlroy, the last majors he won were the two that he won in 2014, a PGA Championship and an Open Championship. That's 10 years ago. 10 years ago that this man last won a major championship. So you could say he's due, but you could also say, you know what? Maybe it's just not going to happen for Rory McIlroy here, winning a Masters. So we'll see how he fares. This is going to be something I bet live. Maybe he starts off slow, makes a run, but I'm going to see if I can get a better price with Rory. I wouldn't want to bet him pre-flop here, 11-1. And Justin Thomas, I think Justin actually is. I think some people are sleeping on him a bit. It's 38-40-1. It's better odds than you normally get for Justin Thomas. I like I say, he's not at the top of my list of golfers I'm looking to bet, but at that price, there's value on JT, I think. And JT did Spit and Chicklets show a few weeks ago, and apparently he's feeling good going into this tournament. Feels confident. Someone was saying apparently that they picked him to win the Masters. Now maybe they're just being nice because they were interviewing him, but Justin Thomas, you got him now at 40-1. When, a few years ago, Justin Thomas, you'd be lucky to get 20-1, 25-1 odds on him to win a tournament and a major. So there is definitely a little more value with Justin Thomas on that as well. All right. You know what? Connor Mack might be having tech issues, but I know one thing's for sure. I've got to get going. I got to wrap up the show because I've got some stuff I got to get done before the night slate begins. But in the meantime, we appreciate everyone joining us here. Hit the like button on the way out. Appreciate that very much. We'll wrap up with an MLB and an NBA best bet for the card tonight. For best bet for for Major League Baseball, I am going to go with the Mets and Braves over 9.5. I'm going to make that my best bet. Mets Braves over 9.5 minus 115. And my NBA best bet. Now, again, I don't love this slate. It's a tricky board. Players left and right sitting out tonight. I think we will go with the Toronto Brooklyn over 221. Let's go with that. Raptors and Nets over the total. So there you go. An NBA best bet and an MLB best bet here for this Wednesday night. All right, great stuff. We're going to wrap it up. I'll let C-Mac know that we've ended the show. Like I say, I think he had some technical difficulties, but we appreciate him joining us. Connor Mack will be with me majority of shows Monday and Wednesdays moving forward. 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific here on Bet with Bobano. Shout out again to everyone. Hit the like button on the way out. Thanks for watching. And reminder, subscribe to the new YouTube channel for me. At Bobano Bets. Make sure you sign up at the new YouTube channel. That's where all my content outside of the Ice Guys show will be moving forward. So appreciate everyone joining us. Again, thanks for watching. I'm Ian Cameron. Bet like Tony Soprano. Bet with Bobano. And we will see you again on Monday for another edition of Bet with Bobano.